Celebrity interviews live from the Grotto with Greg Hanna. Greg, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I can't wait to speak to Dr. Michael and jump right in to the first question. Dr. Michael, you have read thousands of nutrition studies. What's one finding that totally surprised you or made you do a double take when you learned about it?
Oh, well, in this new book on longevity, there was a bunch of different surprises. The exercise chapter, I think, will shock people. Sleep, red wine, resveratrol, NAD supplements, vitamin D, fish, protein restriction, microRNAs. The list goes on and on. I learned just as much as anybody reading this book, writing this book, because we weren't taught this kind of stuff in medical school.
And that longevity thing is something I'm living for as I try to kind of reverse aging. As I'm always I'm 52 years old and I'm trying to work on all those things and constantly, and I have all these doctors that are clients of mine telling me what and learning from them. Do you think this is a possibility we can live another? One of my clients is developing stem cell research, Dr. Robert Marks, and he said basically we can live another 80 more years after our lifespan is 79. You see people living into their 150s and 160s if we work on the things that you're saying about
Well,
longevity.
we certainly never have to date. The question is, what kind of innovations will, for example, AI bring us in terms of longevity science? It's certainly possible. There are animals that essentially live forever with names like the eternal jellyfish. There are whales that live 500, 600 years. Fellow mammals. There's a type of naked mole rat that's essentially a non-aging mammal. So biologically, these things are possible. The fact that from a single zygote we could explode into the most complicated mechanism on in the universe, the human brain, means basically anything is possible. We have yet to crack the code. But in the meanwhile, while we're waiting for that revolution in longevity science, we need to make it there. We don't want to die the day before the breakthrough. And so we need to live long enough to live forever, or however long that we can live. And for that, it's really some basic, simple, common sense behaviors, such as not smoking, not being obese, regular exercise, more fruits and vegetables. Just those four basic, simple, common sense lifestyle factors can mean literally living a decade longer while you wait for some of the more fundamental revolutions in anti-aging medicine.
Which I
Oh,
want to
that's
be part
great
of. I want to
advice.
create. Go ahead. Go, Greg.
Yeah, you do. I have two questions that I'm very curious about. The benefits of high polyphenol olive oil and krill oil. What's the deal? You
Ah,
hear about these things all the time.
you do, because there are people trying to sell you such things.
Ah,
So polyphenols, there are thousands of different polyphenols, which are phytonutrients found within the plant kingdom. Certainly, the polyphenols in olives are the reason why extra virgin olive oil is preferable to regular olive oil, which is more highly refined. There are more of that you can see and taste and smell the polyphenols. There are bitter compounds in those olives. And so you can randomize people to extra virgin olive oil versus regular olive oil and see all sorts of benefits to the extra virgin olive oil that you don't see in the regular olive oil, which we then attribute to the polyphenols, which are refined out in the refinement process. The question is there something special about the polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil that you don't get from the polyphenols in berries or any other fruits, right? Olives are just fruits. Is there something special about olive oil? Now, maybe raspberries won't taste as good on your pasta or something. There are culinary things to worry about here too. But certainly, if you are going to add an oil to a food, then the least processed, like extra virgin olive oil, would be a good choice.
Now, do you practice what you preach, Dr. Michael?
Well, when I travel, it's not as easy. I did 100 cities speaking tour in 6 months, and that was. But when I'm home, when I actually have control over my life, then I do try to not be a hypocrite and eat healthy by centering my diet around the healthiest food options, which are these, whole plant foods. the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. Mushrooms, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices, whole grains. The basically real food that grows out of the ground. These are our healthiest choices, and I really do try to stick to them.
Well, you mentioned traveling 100 cities. That's amazing. So you've been in a plane a lot, doing travel constantly. What's your favorite go-to snack at 30,000 feet that's healthy?
Microwave purple sweet potatoes. You take a sweet potato, you throw on your way to the airport while the coffee's going, throw a sweet potato in, a few minutes, you got it. It could be a hand warmer if it's the middle of winter. And then you just whip it out on the plane. You get some weird looks and skin and all and just eat it. Very filling, delicious. Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Beyond that, it's mostly just kind of regular kind of trail mix stuff, dried fruit, nuts, not roasted, not salted, and maybe some kale chips if I'm feeling special. But yeah, those are kind of some of the basics
Great. And you
to
mentioned
help you
purple
while you're being
versus standard.
well.
Why the purple?
Oh, purple. Well, so there are special anthocyanin pigments, the berry-like pigments that make purple sweet potatoes purple, and maybe one of the reasons for helping to explain the longevity of the Okinawan Japanese, which a century ago were second longest living population in human history, and 70% of their calories, 70% of their diet was sweet potato based through a combination of different sweet potatoes, including the purple sweet potato.
Cool. We're not
Wow.
talking fried sweet potatoes, though, right?
Right. So basically, however you eat them, however you'd like to eat them, is the way you should eat them to get more of them, with the exception of deep frying. So, like tempura vegetables, not the way to get your vegetables. But beyond that, you can air fry them, though. So you can chop up, air fry them, dredge them in some, rosemary, breadcrumbs, cornmeal, whatever. And absolutely delicious with some salt-free ketchup if you can find it. And you are good to go.
Are you a fan of intermittent fasting, Dr. Michael?
Probably so in my book, How Not to Diet, actually the largest chapter is on intermittent fasting, just because there's so many different types. There's, alternate day fasting, 5-2 fasting, 25-5, fasting mimicking diets, etc. The bottom line, I talk about the pros and cons of each, but late time restricted feeding is probably the best. Early time restricted feeding, meaning if anything, you skip dinner, not breakfast. You're trying to shove as many calories earlier in the day as possible. Our body's better able to deal, so you have less of a blood sugar spike, less of a triglyceride spike to something eaten in the morning versus eaten in the evening. The exact same food eaten in the morning is less fattening than the exact same food, same number of calories eaten in the evening. So if you are going to eat junk, eat it in the morning. Your body's better able to handle it thanks to chronobiology, thanks to our circadian rhythms. So early time restricted feeding, meaning restricting one's daily feeding window to 12 hours or less, but critically important, it's an earlier window rather than later.
Well, one quick question to follow up on the fasting question. I hear a lot of this water fast, water only, 2 weeks, 60 days. I mean, is that safe? Is that?
No, well, not without supervision. So, and this is not just, legalistic, doctor speak, but fasting more than a day or two really has to be done under physician supervision. And the reason is because they need to make sure that your kidneys are doing what they should be doing. We have absolutely remarkable capacities for fasting, such that our body go into sodium conservation mode. So our kidneys hold on to sodium when we stop eating. Now, should that process break down for whatever reason, and you're still passing sodium, then you can actually wash the sodium out of your brain, and get a condition called hyponatremia, such that, and the symptoms are really kind of nebulous. Oh, you feel a little kind of sleepy, a little dizzy, a little whatever, and you'd be like, well, I'm fasting. Well, no wonder I'm feeling a little off today. But the problem is, the next thing happens, you have a seizure, you fall over, crack your skull open, and you're dead.
Yeah.
So normally your kidneys should do what they're doing, but that's why you need to have someone who's actually testing your urine, making sure your body is doing what it's supposed to be doing when you're in fasting mode, and make sure nothing bad happens.
All right, Greg, you have that question, that final question, because we only have a short minute of time. Go ahead and have that final question.
Dr. Michael, this has been amazing, fun. I wish I could talk to you for like the rest of the day, but I got to take my wife to the chiropractor. So let me ask you, little mentoring time for me, for Neil, for everybody listening. What do you feel, doctor, is the most important thing in life you've ever learned?
Wow. Most important thing in life I've ever learned is the realization that the realization of service. That I feel like of all, I look back at the happiest times of my life, and it's not when like I ate the best food or was on the best roller coaster or whatever. It's times where I feel I've made an impact in other people's lives, and those are the things that really stick with me. And so, if I had any advice for my younger self, it would be dedicating one's life to service. And indeed, like all the proceeds from all my books are donated directly to charity. I don't make a penny off them. I just want everyone to enjoy the longest, healthiest life.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
All right. All right. Best place to pick up your book. Where can we go? It's available today, right?
Anywhere, and
Yeah.
you can go to nutritionfacts.org, where all my work is available free.
Thank you, Dr. Michael.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Greg. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and celebrity interviews live from the Grotto. Greg Hanna, guys. Take care.